So that's the end of the 2021 season, and what a way to finish with a PB at the London Marathon. So I've done the London Marathon before in 2019, and I did it in 3 hours 25 minutes. This year I did it in 3 hours and 9 minutes, so I'm super happy to end the season, what's been a great season, with a PB. So a quick video just to talk you through the day, the build up to it, and how it went, and then what plans are for next year, and how the triathlon channel is going to hopefully help some of you to improve your own results, and by sharing some of the things I've learned over the years, but more so I think this year being my biggest learning year to date, and the results have shown that. So on the day, it was chaos going in to register. I made the decision to go in on the Saturday only because London's far enough away that I can't just nip there and back in the working day to go and pick up my race number. So we decided to go on the Saturday, and it was chaos. There was just thousands of people. There was a queue to get into the queue. So we're into one of the other rooms within the Excel to queue up to then just join the queue that was in the main building. So it was a nightmare. It was about an hour and a half just to get in to get your number. And then what was really disappointing was the children weren't allowed into the expo. And I think that was a real shame, because it's a great time for the children to get inspired and motivated into any sport or any expo that they do. But the reason they gave when I did challenge them, because I wanted to be in the expo, and I wasn't going to go and walk around without the children. I couldn't just leave them at the entrance. So they said it was COVID, which again, I think it was silly, just because we had all done COVID tests before, all tested obviously negative, but the fact that we were all stuffed into a room, holding room to get into a queue, then we all queued up. What difference did it make to then go into the expo? If anything, because I had to go and get a race belt from the expo, it was nowhere near as busy as what the main, even just the holding room was. So London Marathon really missed something there. However, great event as always. I was really a bit nervous with the October date, because if you don't know, normally it's in April. It was pushed back to October. I believe it's October next year again. So it was a great event as always. The atmosphere there is like nothing else I've ever experienced. You know, the Ironman is great. The 70.3 Ironman is also great in terms of atmosphere, but nothing so far has topped the London Marathon. It was just as busy as it was back in 2019 in the April. We were blessed with great weather, which that was my main sort of nervousness around the race in October, was you just don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's going to be freezing cold, wet. I think some people did get wet, but luckily I was done by the time the rain actually did come. So in terms of running conditions, it was perfect. Maybe a little bit too windy, but we can't have it all. And I got a PB, so super happy. And I don't think the day could have gone any better, to be honest, all things considered. So back in 2019, when I did the race, I went in feeling relatively strong, and you know, it was 3 hours 25, like I said. I picked up an injury at 18 miles, which slowed me down. I was, you know, on track to do a really good time there. I reckon I would have gone maybe just over 3 hours had I maintained that pace, maybe 3:05. But picked up the injury, and that's what happened. So ended up walking a lot of the race back in 2019. So like I said, going to this race, I was not in the condition that I was hoping to be in. And because I was unsure whether I was going to even do the race right up until the Wednesday, mentally I wasn't there as well. I wasn't ready to go into it. I wasn't firing like I normally am for a race build up anyway. However, the reason I did it was because if I deferred to next year, it would be 3 weeks before the World Championships in Utah. So I just thought, well, you can't jeopardize that race. So if you're going to go and if you do get injured, the plan was never to try and go and get injured. But I thought if I did pick up an injury, I've got some time now where I can recover, get fit again, and then build for next year. Because that's what it's all about next year for me. Is my plan is to go and give the 70.3 championships my everything. So that will be the A race of the year, and I really want to go there and do as best as I can. So that was the logic behind doing it this year. So like I say, on the morning of, the plan was to just go and enjoy the day, soak up the atmosphere, enjoy the experience. You know, when I love racing, but I don't particularly enjoy the experience because I'm so focused on the race. I've got so many things going on in my mind that I'm not taking in all the best bits of a race. And some of you might relate to that, I don't know, but for me, as an example, you know, I'm just constantly worried about my time, my splits, etc., that I forget, you know, to look at the other people doing the race or the crowds cheering. You know, I always get moaned at by my wife and kids that I don't high five them, or I haven't acknowledged that they're there all the time. So, you know, and it's not because I'm ignoring them, it's just because I don't actually see or hear them a lot of the time because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. So that's what I mean by enjoying the experience, is just being immersed in the day. So anyway, I did that. The plan was, I thought on the day, and it was purely a spur of the moment thing, was let me just see how I go. I'm going to try and negative split the marathon. So I'll run the first half marathon at what I classed my 70.3 race pace, which is just under 7-minute miles, so around 6:45-minute miles. And to be honest, that's only become my race pace this year, but that was the plan. And then see how I was feeling at the half marathon point, and then try and just push a little bit harder, or just maybe maintain that pace. And that was sort of the idea behind the day, because at that pace, I know I can enjoy it like I wanted to. So, and then the second half of it, just push to try and get that PB. If possible. It was never about getting a PB, so the fact that I got one I'm super happy with, but you know, I would have been happy with 4 hours at the end of the day if I just managed to walk away from it, finishing it uninjured. And I am uninjured, so that's even better. My hips did give way at around 12 miles. I could feel them going, and that slowed me down. So negative splits went way out the window. I slowed down to around 7:15-minute miles, eventually slowing down to 8-minute miles. But then at around 21 miles, I picked back up to 6 minutes. So for me, that was a huge confidence booster, because when I was really struggling and I thought, you know, I was out and that was going to be it, I'm only going to go progressively slower now, I actually put in 2 miles at the quickest pace that I'd done throughout the whole race. So a big learn for me as well, or takeaway rather, is the fact that I've learned how to pace. So normally I get excited at the start and I shoot off, and I'll probably do my first couple of miles at a ridiculous pace that there's no way I'd be able to hold it for even 3-4 miles. But from the get-go, I maintained to my first mile was at race pace, bang on where I wanted it to be, second, third, fourth, right up to about 10. I was just hitting each one. I felt strong, I felt good. And like I said, it was only at around sort of 12, 13 miles my hips started to go, which was expected because I'd done a training session the week before. So it would have been a week after Weymouth, the week before London Marathon. I wanted to do an endurance run just to see if I was going to manage the London Marathon. So the plan was to go out for an 18-mile run, see how I do. I got to 15 miles and my hips just wouldn't go anymore. So I decided to call it a day, come in. And again, that was something that is new to me, is normally I would try and push through that. But I didn't. I decided there and then, my hips are starting to go. I could feel the pain building, and I just called it a day, stopped at 15 miles. So a massive learn, and something I'd encourage you all to do. And I know how difficult it is. Don't always push through the pain. There is times when you can push through. There's times when you just got to, you'll know your body and you've got to stop, and there's no point. And I'm glad I didn't, because maybe if I'd pushed on for those extra 3 miles, I wouldn't have even made it to the London Marathon, or made it there but not finished it. So super happy, a great end to the season, like I say. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos now in the off season about how because I've changed a lot of what I've done in training this year to what I did in previous years, which I think have helped massively in terms of my overall performance, so a number of PBs throughout the year. But the most important thing is I was injury free. And there's a number of reasons why I think that is all changes that I've made this year that have kept me that way, along with some great coaching. But ultimately it's about all the additional things, listening to my body, and I'm going to share those tips and tricks in the coming videos, and maybe a recap on the full season to break it down and what I did in each particular event that made me just get better and stronger throughout the year. So I'm really looking forward to next season now, and take some time off, recover properly. Again, something I never used to do. It's all about recovering properly. Then I'm going to build back into a lot of strength work, get strong into training, and then start building again for next season. Thanks for watching.